Welcome back to our second breakout session. And I'm Wendy, and I get to introduce my sweet, wonderful, mountain climbing, amazing friend, Kelleen. We've been very connected daily for about 1.5 years, and I've never known anybody like her. You guys are in for a real treat. You can see her bio in the program, but her top weight is 280 pounds, and now she's just a tiny little girl. And she is 148 pounds, but she's just a giant, and she loves to run and hike and walk and especially guide people. Kelleen, I don't even know how many people you've helped, but she won't tell. She's too humble. But there's a whole bunch of people at this conference that she has personally guided on their path towards maintenance. What? Yeah, should we all raise our hands? All of our feet. Oh my gosh, look at that, Kelleen. Yay. You too? Yes. Oh, hi, Beth. Anyway, we're going to turn the time over, and you're in for a treat. Welcome, Kelleen.
Thank you. So I'm going to pretend that we're just on the phone and we're just talking one-on-one. That's the way to do it, right? So then the nerves aren't there. So I will just start with really quickly with my story, just really fast. So yeah, I weighed 280 pounds a number of years ago, and then I became diabetic. And I dropped about 50 pounds because of the diabetes, but then I wasn't able to, I kind of held on to that because I quit the sugar thing, but never really understood completely what the carbohydrates did or really understood what the flour thing was. And I would, eat all of the sugar-free stuff and all of that. So I kept my weight up for a long, long time. Tried keto, lost about 10 pounds on keto, and then started Bright Line eating at 215. Read the book 3 times and really quickly, and then I dropped 30 pounds. And when I dropped the 30 pounds, I felt like I was doing really good. I went on a cruise, did really good on the cruise, came home. I know everybody has a similar story because it just happens to us, right? So I came home from the cruise, and then I started snacking. And that was my nemesis. All of a sudden, I was eating at night. I packed back on that 30 pounds pretty darn quick. And then I was right there again, and I just said, no, I'm not doing this. I've got to get all in. So I did the January 1st thing. Don't recommend it, but I did it, and it worked this time. But it was really kind of cool. A couple of weeks after I had gotten back all in, my next door neighbor, Stephanie, who's actually here today, she's in another breakout, but she actually asked me for some help. And so we kind of went through things together and talked through things. And then she said, Kelleen, I think we're only supposed to have peanut butter like a couple of times a week. And I'm like, I missed that whole memo. And so then I was like, oh, well, I've been having it for breakfast and lunch every day. No wonder I'm not dropping any weight, right? So then I just decided, okay, I'm done. No more nuts. And as soon as I did that, the weight fell off and lost the 65 pounds, and then I was good to go. So anyway, so total I've lost 132 pounds, and I love my body now. I love more than my body. I love what my body can do. I love being able to get out and do things and enjoy outdoors, and I love to hike. I love to push myself. I love the excitement of climbing up that mountain. I got to hike Mount Olympus the other day and just pulling myself up. It was so cool when you're doing the scramble and you have to find your handholds and you're pulling your body. And I'm like, to my friend Jessica, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can like pull myself up. And then I realized I'm half of who I was. No wonder I can pull myself up, right? So just a little bit different. Okay, so first thing, I had this epiphany a couple weeks ago, and I want to share it with you guys. Have you guys ever thought of the word breaking your lines? There's 2 different things. There's breaking your lines, and then there's having a break from the program. 2 totally different things. So if you break your lines, right, that resume comes and you hurry and get back and you just broke your line. If you're doing a break from the program, I just want you to think about that. Like, how often do you just say, I'm just going to take a flipping break? I'm tired. Have anybody ever said that before? I'm tired of eating this way. I'm tired of having this happen. I'm tired. Well, you know what? It's that reframe, right? It's getting our minds back on that track of saying, no, maybe adjust and not have mushrooms for a week or something, but by dang, those peppers were fantastic, right? So get excited about what you're eating, right? Get excited about it. So I have decided that I am peeling an onion. We are peeling an onion today, and I want to figure out what happens after we hit maintenance. So first of all, I am going to take this off. So as I was going down, I was peeling that onion, and things were happening. Things were going on. Things were shaking, right? And I was starting to get smaller. And I was loving being out and about. And I saw people that were like, men would open a door for me, or men would say hi to me on the trail. And I took the grit course. And during all of that, I freaked out. I was raped when I was 18. And so I kind of thought I was past it and I was going to be okay, right? But then my weight started falling off. And all of a sudden, men started opening doors for me, and they started talking to me. And I'm like, hold it, can't handle this, right? I can't handle that. I can't handle men looking at me and seeing me in a different way. I went to therapy, and my therapist tried to calm me down by saying, hey, honey, you're 53. It's okay. Men are not going to be as interested. You're 53. I'm like, oh, thank you very much for telling me I'm ugly. So I just kind of thought, okay, that's it, right? But it wasn't it. It wasn't it. And so I had to learn how to deal with that. And I have to thank somebody that's here today that saved my life. I went into parts work and didn't understand parts work. And I called this wonderful lady, and she helped me so much. And I was able to sit with her, and I said, I'm just letting you know, I don't buy into garbage. And this is garbage. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think this is real. This isn't real. This isn't what's going to happen. So I'm just letting you know that for our first free appointment, right? So I don't believe in energy work. I don't believe, and this is what I thought this all was. And so we talked, and she gave me knowledge that I've never had. And in all the years since I was 18 years old, and the times that I've been in and out of therapy, talk therapy, I have never, ever been able to get my brain around what was really happening inside. And for the first time, I was able to figure it out. And all of a sudden, I was okay. And I could lose the weight. And I did. And men could open a door for me. I don't care if they thought I was good looking or not, it doesn't matter to me. That's not what I'm about anyway. I'm married, it doesn't matter, right? So it changed my whole life. It gave me strength, it gave me purpose, it gave me guidance that I needed to be able to get through taking off the outside layers, getting rid of the onion, right? That I've been hiding behind for how many years? How many years have we all hid behind our weight? How many years? I learned something just recently. I actually got contact lenses. And so I've worn glasses for a number of years. And I took my glasses off, and I'm like, oh, hold it. I've been hiding behind my glasses. Something's wrong. I don't like this. I'm looking in the mirror. I don't have glasses to hide behind. I mean, good night. What else are we hiding behind, right? It's all there. It's all part of it. But we need to do what this frame right here says. This frame right here says, faith, trust, knowledge. I learned something really important with this. First of all, we have to do a leap of faith. We have to have that leap of faith. We can't do anything until we do. When we start this program, it's total leap of faith. We're jumping in, right? We're taking off, we're jumping in. And so we're going in for that leap of faith. And then we have to start trusting at some point. If you don't start trusting, we're not going to ever get the program. because you have to have trust in the program to do the program. You can have your leap of faith and think, okay, I'm jumping in, but then what happens if we don't jump all the way in? We do what I did on the cruise and come back and ate food, and then here we were, right? So that trust in the program, but I want to go one step further and say trust in ourselves. I'm going to call her out. Laura Lively is the one that really talked to me about this. She's right here. She's amazing, and she helped me go from the faith to the trust. That's really what happened. I started trusting who I am. I started trusting me, and it made the world of difference. I trusted the program, trusted in my Heavenly Father. I trusted in myself. And that was huge. Then guess what comes? Knowledge. Knowledge comes. So when we gain knowledge of something, we no longer need that leap of faith. We now have knowledge in it. And that's, you guys are all sitting here today to gain knowledge and to cement your knowledge. And that's something we're going to do for the rest of our life. We get to learn for the rest of our lives. We get to learn about our program. We get to work with our program for the rest of our lives. There is not an end. There's not I got there and I'm there now for the rest of my life. I'm going to just stay there. It's just going to be an automatic, right? You have to keep learning. You have to keep growing. You have to keep trying. You have to keep working that program. That program's never going to end. And it's cool, right? It's really cool. Really, really cool. All right. Now, I am going to talk about reaching your goal because sorry if that's loud. I reached my goal 2 years ago on my son's birthday, which is June 21st. Sorry about the bruises. I told you I just went hiking. Okay. So 2 years ago, June 21st, I'm going to share this with you. I don't share this with people because I don't want you to think that it's an end all beat all, but I had a goal. And I told myself that goal over and over and over again. And that goal was I wanted to hit 155 pounds by June 21st. And I was in this shirt the day that I walked in on June 21st from my run, and I weighed myself and I weighed 155 pounds. It was the coolest. Thank you. Thank you. It was the coolest day. It was so fun. And the funnest thing about it was I always remember, I'm not one of those check markers, day 155, whatever, 2,500 days. I have no idea how many days I've been doing this, and I don't really care. So I don't count things, but I can always remember the date that I hit that 155 as my son's birthday. And that was so cool. So, so fun. So I reached my goal. So then what? Then what? Yeah, we all have that mental of, oh, now I can eat whatever I want because, oh, I fixed myself, like Shauna was saying in her class. I fixed myself. I'm healed. Woohoo! I hit 155. I must be healed. Woohoo! What's up with that, right? There's not oh, I'm healed. We are who we are. I didn't change because I didn't weigh 280 pounds. I didn't become someone else. I'm still me. And I still have the same addiction. I will always have a food addiction. I'm going to share with you a story that happened just this week because it was really hard for me. But it's knowledge. It's back to that knowledge. So I had a bucket list to do rim to rim in the Grand Canyon. Always wanted to do it. So I felt like I could do it. I can do this. And I put in for it. And actually my buddy from Bright Line Eating back in New York, her and her husband were coming to do it with me. So we put in to go to do rim to rim. And we didn't get it the 1st of June or the 1st of May for the September dates. And so I'm like, okay, so they were putting in for us the 1st of June for the October dates. Well, he called me last week and said, hey, we got you in. The 3 of you can go with this other group. You get to do rim to rim. I'm like, sweet. And I already told them about our food plan. I already told them what we needed. I said, we don't eat no sugar, no flour. No sugar, no flour, period. No sugar, no flour. Okay, we can do that. We can accommodate anything. Well, it must have been a different guy I was talking to, because when I talked to the guy this week, he said, you what? And I said, no sugar, no flour, none, zilch, no sugar, no flour. That means no almond flour, no coconut flour, no rice flour, no flour. The word flour doesn't exist in my life, no flour. So because I know the whole gig, right? They're gonna do gluten-free and they're gonna try and get you to eat all this rice, flour, whatever. So I says, I can't do any of that. He goes, oh, that's a challenge. And I said, yeah. It's a 4-day backpack trip that we were going on. And he's like, you know how much fruits and vegetables weigh? And I'm like, yeah, I backpack with them all the time. I take them with me every time I go up in the mountains. I take my no sugar, no flour food and I eat it and I carry it with me and it works. He goes, for 4 days, it's not going to happen. You can't go. So I was devastated. So I got on my mastermind group and I was telling him, because it happened that day of my mastermind group. And my mastermind group was like, Kelleen, just go off it for 4 days. Just go off it for 4 days. Take a break. Remember the break and break your lines? What happens when we take a break? We don't come back, or we don't come back for a long time. I'm not willing to do that. It is so solid in my heart that I know this is the way I have to eat to keep my body where it's at. If I choose not to, which is a choice. It's a choice. I could go. Who's going to say anything? I'm hiking rim to rim. It's 24 miles. You know, who's going to blame me? Nobody's going to blame me. My own mastermind group's saying, do it, idiot, do it. And I said, no, I can't. I can't. And the guy's like, well, we can do gluten-free. We can do dairy-free. And I said, well, what do you do for your gluten-free people? Well, they eat the gluten-free bread and they eat the gluten-free pasta. And I'm like, well, sorry, I can't eat those things. So then I had to sit there with myself and say, what's more important? My bucket list of rim to rim in 4 days, or my food program that's cemented solid right now? And if I am willing to give up that cemented food plan for 4 days of beauty, something's wrong with that picture for me. Might not be for somebody else, and I'm not going to say anything to somebody else if that's the case. But for me, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work. So for me, I said, okay, I'll just do it in 1 day. I'll just do rim to rim in 1 day. So I called my friend and we're going to go do rim to rim in 1 day. So that'll work out. My friend from New York, she's going to come to Utah and we're going to go do a bunch of hikes here. We'll go do Temp and Olympus and do a bunch of things here. So it'll be fun. And she was fine, but she also couldn't have eaten that way either. So it was both of us that couldn't have gone. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about body dysmorphia, just a little bit. I want to just cover it just a tad, because that's something that happens after maintenance, or it might be happening while you're losing weight, or it might be happening to you when you're heavy. It can go so many different directions. Like, I've talked to some people who stand in front of the mirror when they're 280 or 300 pounds and they feel like they're 150 pounds. They don't see their weight. I don't know if you've ever met someone like that, but I've met a few people that way. I've also met people like me who, even right now in my right size body, I can be sitting in a chair, I kid you not, and feel like I weigh 280 pounds. To this day, 2 years later, I still have those feelings. It's not a fight for me right now. It's okay, but I still have that. And so that's called body dysmorphia, when we don't see what we really are. And I want to stand here and tell you it's okay. You're okay. If you have it, not a deal. It doesn't matter, Because what we know is that we can move. What I know is I can pull myself up on those rocks on Tuesday and do just great. That's what I want. That's what I'm holding on to. That's what I'm working for. So the fact that I don't see myself, I mean, I don't know how many of this happens to you guys, but I still put on my eight size pair of pants and think somebody went in and changed all the clothes in my closet to lie to me that they are an 8 and not at 18 or 24. I still think that. I still think people have got to be lying when I go to a store. I mean, I went to a store last week to buy a dress because I wanted a dress for tomorrow. So I went to a store and I tried on a large, and the lady's like, I think that's a little too big for you. And I'm like, are you sure? And she goes, yeah, why don't you go try the medium on? See how it works for you. So I went and put it on. It looked really nice. And I'm like, oh, yeah, medium looks kind of nice. So it just is part of who I am. And it's part of my acceptance. It's part of the okay. It's okay. It's all right. And it might be something I have for the rest of my life. And that's okay too. That's all right too. I don't have to see some image of me some other way, right? It's okay. Okay, so what I want to do now is this is the one thing, if I could have said anything to you at all, if you go home with anything at all from me today, this is what I want you to go home with. When you're losing weight, it is so many endorphins, right? We get on the scale. Oh, I lost 10 more pounds. Yes, right? And you're just so flippin' excited. And everybody says, oh, you look so great. And you're amazed. And it's wonderful. And it feels so good. And those endorphins are flying, and it just keeps you going, right? So you want that. You want that feeling of keeping going. But how do we do it now? Okay, so I hit 155 pounds. For the first couple months, people are like, wow, you look really good. Have you lost too much weight? Are you sick? Are you sure you're not sick? Maybe you should go to the doctor. I don't think you should lose anymore. You're gonna look old. I mean, all of the things that happen right when we lose our weight, right? Those are all of the typical comments that we get. And then all of a sudden the comments stop. They just stop. Like nobody notices that you look good anymore, or at least they don't say you look good anymore. It's just, you're you now. So where do the endorphins come from? Aha. Got to figure this out. All right, we are going to figure out, we're going to do some brainstorming. Everybody has a yellow piece of paper. I want you guys to start brainstorming, and I want you to even throw ideas out. But I'm going to share with you my idea to start us off, and then we're going to kind of talk about what we're going to do. We have got to find a measurable challenge. I don't really love the word goal, because to me, a goal ends. I want to do a challenge. I want to feel the challenge of it. I want to see it. I want to feel it inside, right? We want to get this going. So we're going to flip that off of there to the next one. This is my measurable challenge. So this year, okay, so a couple years ago, I just want to go back a little bit. My best friend and I were going to go hike Kilimanjaro. Something we'd worked on for years. We'd planned and we'd hiked and we'd worked at it, and I broke my foot. I stood up off from a couch and I twisted my foot, and it was a spiral fracture, and I broke my foot. So couldn't go hike Kilimanjaro that year. The next year, we're gonna go hike Kilimanjaro. COVID. So, and now it's off the table. My best friend is not able to physically do it because of some injuries. So now, we're not hiking Kilimanjaro. So what's my challenge this year? My challenge is that I added up all the top 7 peaks in the whole world, top 7 peaks, added all the elevation climb of all 7 peaks, and I'm going to peak that much elevation climb in a year. That's my measurable goal. That's the goal that I get to look at every time. That's what's feeding my endorphins. Every time I sit down, when I come home from a hike, I sit down and I type into my little Excel spreadsheet, and I get to put a minus on it, and I get to see it go down. I get to see those numbers decline. So this is what my measurable challenge is. And it started at 89,000 feet in elevation climb. We started this challenge, actually a friend of mine and I are doing it, and we are down to 44,543.2 feet in elevation. That's how much more I've got to get for the end of the year. That's my challenge for myself. I'm going to need to come up with another one for next year. So I want to keep those endorphins flying. I need to keep something going for me that's going to keep that happening. So I want to talk to you all about that. I really feel, and anybody that I guide, I tell them, you got to get yourself a challenge. And I don't care where you're at in the weight loss plan. I don't care if you're 560 pounds and you want to get down to 120 pounds, you still need to have a measurable challenge so that when you get there, you've got those numbers that are going to keep going down and you're not going to be slapped in the face at maintenance, which is what could happen, right? So let's talk about some different measurable challenges. Throw them out there. What can you guys do that can be a measurable challenge? Half marathon, fantastic. How are you going to get there? Okay, so what is going to be your measurable challenge? How are you going to do it? Okay, we're going to set a reasonable goal to work up to the half marathon. Is the half marathon the challenge, or is the challenge all of the steps along the way? Fantastic. Do you know why that's it's the steps along the way? The reason why it's fantastic is because just like the weight loss, like it came off a pound at a time. We got to feel that endorphin a pound at a time. So we need to have something like that half marathon that's the, sorry, icing on the cake. But you get to have that, but you get to have it in periodic tables, right? So you get to see the progression of going down, and the end result is you run a half marathon. My dear friend Wendy, just 2 weeks ago for her 60th birthday, ran a half marathon. Isn't that cool? It is so cool. I will show you how cool it is. It is this cool. This is Wendy running that half marathon. She did it on her 60th birthday. She's amazing. And it was her measurable goal, and she hated every minute of it. She would call me and say, I have to run again today. I don't want to run. But she did it. She did it. And then she ran the marathon and she made it. And it was so cool. So cool. So what else? What else can be a measurable goal? How about how many books you read? How about that? How many pages you read in a book? Is there a book that you really love and you want to see yourself get through it? Maybe there's a book that's 1,000 pages. Maybe you want to get through the dictionary and you want to say, I'm going to do a page a day. Maybe you want to read all of the standard works and you want to do a little bit a day. There you go. There's a measurable goal. You can do reading. Yes. Memorize a song. Fantastic. How do you do that? One measure at a time. Don't you love that? Isn't that exciting? One measure at a time, one thing at a time. And when you get the first one, you go to the next one. And that's exciting. And then pretty soon you're playing it for somebody. And somebody says, wow, that's beautiful. And you got it down. And the cool thing about that, I know this from my son who used to take guitar lessons, and he can still play a song that he played back when he was 5. That he memorized when he was 5, and he can still play it. So once you've got it memorized, it really sticks with you, right? It's kind of in your fingers. What else? What other measurable goals do we have? Learning a language. How cool is that? How can that become a measurable goal? 10 minutes a day. So you could do a timed goal, or you could do a number of words goal, and you could write that down. 5 words a month or something that you learn. Everything counts. Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so you've got that measurable goal. You get to feel how it feels to get through that closet. I'm going to go through a closet a week. I'm going to go through a closet a day. I'm going to go through each room once every month. I'm going to make that happen. So it's something you can write down and something that you can send you those endorphins. Yes. Paying off your car, finances. Finances are a fantastic measurable goal. That's so exciting. Paying off that car, isn't that cool? And to actually physically walk in and hand them the payment instead of just clicking the clicker, actually walking in and feeling that measurable goal. And how cool when you walk out of the bank that day and go, whew, that part's gone. Yeah. Isn't that cool? That is so cool. Thank you so much. I love that. I love planning. To me, planning for a trip is just as much fun as going on a trip. I'm going to tell you really quickly. Let's see what time. I have just a minute. So I'm going down to Durango, Colorado on Monday, and I had so flippin' much fun. I got to get the e-bikes rented. I got to find out when we're going to Mesa Verde. I got to figure out which hikes we're going to go on. I got to figure out where we're going to go ride our paddle boards. And all of that got to happen. That made it so much fun. And now next week's going to be great. That is so fun, isn't it? That just gets us. That gets us. Okay, so you've got some ideas. Write your ideas down, brainstorm for yourself, let yourself know what you can do to make yourself, give yourself a measurable goal, and you can make it. Okay, so this is something I probably would never do for anybody other than you guys and the people on Zoom. Going down to my swimming suit does not happen, does not happen. But I want to tell you that we just have to keep swimming. We just have to keep swimming and keep moving forward and keep going and keep plowing through. And we got to keep ourselves excited. You can't make a drudgery out of it. You got to plan and be excited to plan and be excited to do. And once you're excited to do, those things will happen. I am going to make that, I'm going to make that marker. I'm going to do 44,000 more feet. I'm going to do it because I can, And then I'm going to find something else I can do. Maybe I'll have 2 or 3 things I can do. Right now, I have a canyon that I hike pretty regularly in the dark. I love it. I take my dogs. We do a great thing. And I have some time goals, some time measurable challenges for myself that I want to make my time a little bit faster every time I hike up Adams Canyon. So, and every time I come down, I look at the time and I think, okay, I'm at 18 minutes and 59 seconds. Next time I'm going to be at 18 minutes and maybe 30 seconds. It could happen. So I want that to happen. That's my whole thing. I want to make that happen. So just keep swimming. I want to give you a second to ask questions if you have questions. Love to be able to talk. Excuse me. Now that I have a dry mouth. Any questions about anything? Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I have to tell you, I used the word guide long before SPT used the word guide. I did because to me, a sponsor felt like I was like above someone and I can't do that well. So I would rather guide. And one of the things that I've learned from hiking, when I'm teaching someone a new place to go hike, if they've never been before, I don't ever go in front. I never ever go in front. The reason I don't ever go in front is because that's my pace. If they're in front and I'm teaching them, I'm coming from the back and I'm guiding them up the mountain from the back and we're going at their pace. So one of the things that I learned is when you're guiding someone, when you're trying to help someone, go at their pace. And then how does that help your program? Tons. Everybody in here that's been guides, shake your head yes. It helps your program to guide other people. It helps cement yourself. And the reason it does is because you're still climbing. You're not standing still. You're not stagnant. You're moving up a mountain. And when you're climbing, you're succeeding. And if you keep succeeding and keep climbing, you're going to reach to their top, and then you're going to help somebody else to their top, and you're going to keep going. That's the best thing you can do. You need to have someone that helps you, and then there's someone you're helping. It keeps that balance. Make sure you've got yourself supports. That's one thing I did not do when I first started. I read the book. The book's fantastic, I have to say. I love Bright Line Eating book. Love it, love it, love it. So much great information. But by itself, it isn't the support that I needed. And I need support. I need a person. I need someone to help me. So when I have someone help me, and when I'm helping someone else, it keeps us all moving up the mountain, and we're all going to make it, right? We're all going to keep going. So yes, thanks, Wendy. Anybody else have any other questions? Okay, yes. Right. It sucked. It sucked. I was on one of those little scooters. We were redoing our kitchen at the time, and it was a nightmare. It was lifey. It was lifey. But it came and it went, and then I was able to hike again. And I didn't have to have surgery, so that was a bonus. But I was doing partial Bright Line Eating at the time. I wasn't all the way in yet. I hadn't sat all the way down. So it would be easier now that I'm doing, it would have been easier for me to heal now than it was then, because number one, I'm at a better weight and I'm physically better. And so my body would just naturally heal, and I'm eating the right food. So it just makes a big difference. Oh, my mental is so much clearer, so much better than it's ever been. My sister's actually here. She would attest to you, my mental is so much better than it's ever been. So much better, so much better. So really quickly before I end, thank you for your questions. I'm just gonna show you what we can do with our bodies. So here's Shauna Murph. Isn't that cool? Doing some rock climbing. Shauna, was that just so cool to pull yourself up? It is so awesome. You want to share with us what that story is? Yeah, Aaron. That's so cool. Kids are amazing on skis, aren't they? We've got Kathleen here dancing with her husband. Isn't that cool? Wendy, don't leave. You were getting ready to walk out the door, weren't you?
No, I grabbed the mic so the Zoom people could hear.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so this is Wendy running. How did you feel when you finished?
It was amazing. My kids ran with me, and then I decided I was never doing it again in my 60s, but I'm done.
Okay, so this picture right here, I want you to all look on your boards, your pull-out boards. There's a white 3x5 card on somebody's board that's taped to it.
Uh-oh. I'm gonna have to look at all of them.
Does anybody find it? If you don't find it there, go a couple of over. It's in this section right here somewhere. Oh, you're the winner of this picture. There you go. You're welcome. All right. I have to tell you really quick about this. I should have Luann tell you about this picture. This is Jennifer. This is not Luann. But really quickly, tell us really quick. We got 2 minutes. Hold up. We need the mic. Luann, Jennifer's not in here, but Luann can tell her story.
So Kelleen conned me. And no,
Didn't con you.
Kelleen is my good friend, and they were going to hike down in Bryce and Zion, wherever it is.
Yeah.
They're right together. Zion. Anyway, and I said they were doing it during Jennifer's spring break, college spring break. And I said, I teach early morning seminary. And so I said, oh, I'm really sad. We're not on spring break until next week. And I'm sad that you did it this week. And she said, if we had done it next week, would you go? And I said, oh, sure, I would have come. And then she said, well, then make it happen this week. You can do it. And I'm like, but I've got to do this. And I take a little Down syndrome boy to school. I watch him in the morning, and I was doing all that. And she goes, well, just make it happen. And so I called that mother, and she goes, oh, you go ahead and you go. You go ahead and you go. And my stake presidency member taught seminary for me. I mean, just everything fell into place. And so I have flight benefits. So I hopped on a plane. I flew in, unbeknownst to me, what Angel's Landing is. I didn't do my research ahead of time, and it's a good thing because I wouldn't have gone. So I proceed with these wonderful ladies up this mountain, up the knife edge mountain with the chain to hold on, and sometimes footholds and sometimes not. And you saw part of it in the video this morning, and that was me coming down. On the way up, we talked to several people on the way up, and there was a half marathon the next day. And all these young people had flown in and, hey, let's go do Angel's Landing before we run this half marathon tomorrow. And I'm like, you guys are insane. What are you doing? Well, there was these 3 guys, and they were from Long Island, New York. And we just kind of made friends with them. And then when we made it to the top, we turned around to start down, and I kept saying, okay, I'm an old lady, I'm slow, I'll just let you go by, whatever. And these 3 young men made it their mission to get me off of that mountain safely, because there was ice and snow in a couple of places, and they wouldn't leave. They would not leave. There was always one in front and one behind, or 2 behind. And if I ever was unsteady, they would run to the side and, here, hold my hand, Miss Luann, hold my arm. And they got me off that mountain. And so if you watched the video earlier, that was me coming down the mountain, that knife edge.
That was so fun. It was such a rewarding weekend. She will. I'm going to share with you, this is Krista. And Krista said that she never went to the gym with her husband because she didn't want to be known as his wife, just going to the gym with him. And so she finally got to her right size body and went to the gym with him, and they got that picture. I think that's so cool. So she went and worked out with her husband. This is Lori swimming, what she does with her body.
To go from morbidly obese to rocking a swimsuit, I love it.
Yay, Lori. Beth Wilson Monroe, she's cooking her food. She loves to do her batch cooking. Do you want to say anything about your batch cooking? Do you want to say anything?
Batch cooking is the best.
And I have to tell one on Beth. I actually took her to Bryce Canyon a year ago, and she's like, I don't hike. And I'm like, we're going to go. And she came and she did fantastic. We did great. She was a trooper. And then here we are on the beach playing around. See, the measurable goal can be anything, right? It can be anything. It doesn't have to be physical fitness. It doesn't have to be kill yourself. It can be whatever, but make it happen. You guys are amazing. I just want you to know that. I want you to look in the mirror. One last thing really quick. Do not question yourself about hitting maintenance. When you hit it, say it and live it and love it. She took 1.5 years and she finally said it, and I made her say it over the phone. Just say it, Luann. And she finally said, okay, I'm on maintenance, Kelleen. You got to be on maintenance. You got to say it, and you got to believe it, and then let your body do what it's going to do, because it'll do amazing things for you. Thank you, guys.